Hello YouTube and welcome to the next route learning video. As mentioned in my last video, on today's journey we're going to be travelling on the freeware Barnstaple to Exeter route, which is available from DP Simulation. So if you visit dpsimulation.org.uk, this route is available for free. So today we're going to be driving to train 2 Bravo 70, which is the 5:50 AM service from Exeter St to Barnstaple. The total journey is around 39 miles. We will be calling at Crediton, Yeoford, Copplestone, Eggesford, Umberleigh and finally Barnstaple. Our traction for the journey today is a Class 150. I have already used the Class 150 on a couple of videos on this channel which I've made previously. So the Class 150 has been in service since 1984 and it was built between 1984 and 1987 at Brell, York. It is a sprinter and a total of 137 of these trains were made. Today they're in operation with 4 train operating companies, which is Arriva Trains Wales, First Great Western, London Midland and Northern Rail. The maximum speed of these units is 75 miles per hour. And there is 1 engine per coach, rated at 286 horsepower. Now in the cab of the Class 150, the first thing I'm going to do is turn on the headlights and set them to the day position, and then I'm going to turn off the tail lights at the switch down here, going to turn on the instrument lights and the marker lights, and also the destination indicator. So in front of us here we have the speedometer and the brake gauge. And then down here we have the power handle and the reversing handle. So now I need to put in the master key and move the reversing handle and then reset the AWS self-test sequence and then continue to move the train into forward. So here we have the AWS reset button, the horn, which is 2-tone because I've got the Armstrong Powerhouse sound pack installed, and over here we have a standard Westcode 3-step brake. So the next thing I'm going to do now is press the radio test button because it's featured on this train, and then open the windows.
Hello mate, test message NRN radio, over.
Message received, loud and clear, over.
Thanks for that, message out.
I'm now going to turn off the driver's reminder appliance as we can see that the signal ahead is clear and wait for permission to depart. Departing from Exeter St David's, the starting speed limit is 10 miles per hour, and we've got just over 6 3/4 miles to go to the next stop, which is Crediton. So as you can see, I've now idled the power at 10 miles per hour, and I only used step 5 power to get us up to there. We're now crossing Red Cow level crossing, which is a unique 6-track level crossing. It's very rare to find one of those in the UK. The speed limit is now going up to 25 miles per hour and we can accelerate on this right hand point just here. However, it will quickly be going back down to 20 as we cross tracks onto the upline. So we won't accelerate above 20 miles per hour. Now that we've reached 20 miles per hour, I've idled the power to allow the train to coast. And as we cross onto the upline here, the speed limit is 45 miles per hour as we reach this left-hand point. So I'm now going to power up, and the speed limit has also gone up to 65 miles per hour now. However, we won't be able to get to that before we need to slow down for turning off this line onto the Barnstaple branch. Now passing Riverside Yard on the left. As we reach 45 miles per hour, I'm going to idle the power and allow the train to coast until we need to slow down for the 20 mile per hour speed limit as we depart from this line. Now see the Morpeth board warning us of the upcoming 20 mile per hour speed restriction, and I'm going to brake for the speed limit at this ground signal you can see just coming up with the 2 white lights on it. So now we've reached that, I'm now braking for the 20 mile per hour speed limit. Now we're at 20 miles per hour, I'm allowing the train to coast, and as you can see the speed limit is now going up to 40 miles per hour. I'm going to accelerate just after we get onto this bridge here. As you can see, the speed limit is now going up once again, this time to 60 miles per hour. The speed limit is now increasing to 70 miles per hour. As I mentioned yesterday, I am going to be making an American video very shortly, and I'm hoping that that will be my next video which I upload. I am planning on covering the Horseshoe Curve route, which is based in the 1950s and I think is a very beautiful run there. I am also planning on covering a second American route at some point, and I'm looking at doing the Pacific Surfliner, which is quite a long route, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge to do, and I'm probably going to have to make that in 2 or 3 parts, just because it takes about 3 hours to drive the full length of the route, I believe. Someone also asked me earlier if I could possibly cover a German route, and I would actually really like to do that. I've got a number of German add-ons and I quite like German railways. But to drive as realistically as possible, I need to have the signalling system turned on. And I haven't quite mastered the signalling system yet. I've looked at the manual and I've read it in detail, and I think I get the basic principles, but when I try and put them into practice, I usually get the emergency brakes tripped. So if there's anyone of my subscribers or anyone who's watching this video who could help explain the German signalling system to me better, I'd be really grateful for that, because it will enable me to make a German video. So now as we've got to 70 miles per hour, I've just cut the power to step 5 to ensure that we don't break the speed limit. We will now slow down a little bit, and if we slow down too much, I will then reapply power to step 6 to bring us back up towards 70. We're now approaching Newton St Cyres station. At this signal, which is the first signal out of Newton St Cyres, we've now got 1.5 miles to go to our stop at Crediton. We now have a Morpeth board warning us of a drop in the speed limit to 40 miles per hour. At this point I'm going to idle the power and allow the train to coast, but we're not actually going to brake for the 40 mile per hour speed limit until we reach the next signal. I've now made a step 1 brake application and you can see our speed is coming off quite nicely, and this should slow us down about right for the 40 mile per hour speed limit. I've now released the brakes and we're now entering the 40 mile per hour speed zone. Our stop is just coming up here, so we're going to brake as we get just a little closer to the platform. I haven't seen any stop markers on this route to mark exactly where we should stop at stations, unfortunately. So here at Crediton, my guess is that we would stop around the area of the footbridge. So I'm going to stop just before the signal in front of us. Departing from Crediton, the starting speed limit is 40 miles per hour, and we've got just over 3.5 miles to go to the next stop, which is Yeoford. However, just here I'm not going to accelerate much above 5 miles per hour, as we need to stop next to where you can see the man standing in the orange high-vis vest, as we need to collect our token for the single line section coming up just ahead. Normally at this point I would look at the HUD to see how long I've got to wait. Unfortunately I can't do that because of policy in my videos that you'll never see the HUD. So I'm just going to estimate at around 20 seconds, which should hopefully be in a few seconds time, and then I'm able to move again. Now we can accelerate away from there. The limit will soon be going down to 25 miles per hour. But first we have a 15 mile per hour point just here, which I'm just applying the brakes for now to ensure that we don't break the speed limit. We can accelerate up to 40 miles per hour at the cross sign just ahead, which is actually warning us of an upcoming level crossing. And it's actually for that level crossing that we have to slow down to the 25 mile per hour speed limit. I'm going to idle the power just after this foot crossing here to allow the train to coast down to 25 miles per hour. We are going uphill slightly now, which will affect our acceleration rate in a little while, and in the meantime will help us to slow down. The speed limit itself has now gone up to 70 miles per hour, which we will be able to accelerate to shortly after we've passed the crossing. I've just applied step 3 power as we lost a little bit too much speed there, and I'll reduce the power as we get up towards 25. As you can see, one of the many bugs in rail works there, a car just went across the crossing right in front of us where they shouldn't. Either that or it was just a maniac driver. We can accelerate up to the 70 mile per hour speed limit just as we cross this bridge here, crossing a river. So now going into full power to accelerate up to 70 miles per hour. We are now climbing on a gradient of 1 in 100, which is affecting our ability to accelerate. That means it will take us much longer to get up to speed. As you can see, this is actually quite a rural route. We are going through rural Devon from Exeter northwards towards Barnstaple. It's actually a very beautiful part of England in my opinion. Now see how the gradient's affecting our acceleration, in that we're actually struggling to get much above 50 miles per hour. However, the gradient is shortly going to level out, as you can see just ahead now, which means that our acceleration will suddenly increase quite rapidly. This overbridge just here with the house that you can just see on the left there, I'm now idling the power as we've got around 3/4 of a mile to go to Yeoford. Now applying the brakes for our stop here, as I know that it comes up shortly after this left-hand curve, and the big triangular pointy tree that you can see just ahead, which probably wouldn't be a landmark used in real life, is actually quite a good landmark to let us know where we are in relation to the station. So you can see the platform coming up now, and here at Yeoford we do need to stop right at the end of the platform. Departing Yeoford, the starting speed limit is 70 miles per hour, and we've got around 3 miles to go to the next stop, which is Copplestone. Along here we are climbing on a gradient as steep as 1 in 62, which is severely affecting our ability to accelerate. The line now diverging to the left is the line to Oakhampton and Meldon Quarry. As you can see, the speed limit has now dropped to 55 miles per hour. So I will shortly have to reduce power to ensure that we don't break the speed limit. So I'm now going to go down to step 5 power. Speed limit is now going back up to 70 miles per hour, and we've now got around 3/4 of a mile to go to our next stop. So I'm going to idle the power at the next overbridge which we see, and at that point we'll have around half a mile to go. Now idling the power, and I'm going to brake for our stop shortly after this second overbridge we're going under now. As you can see, the house on the right just coming into the right of our screen there. I'm now going to apply the brakes, and you can see the platform coming up just ahead. Here at Copplestone, I'm going to aim to stop just coming up. As we get to the building, you can see the platform building there. I'm now going to try and stop around here. I think this should be the right place. Departing from Copplestone, the starting speed limit is 70 miles per hour, and we've got just under 8 miles to go to the next stop, which is Eggesford. Now passing Morchard Road Station. I'm now idling the power as the speed limit will shortly be dropping to 55 miles per hour. We now have the Morpeth board for that, so I'm going to make a step 1 brake application, which should slow us down about right. We're now entering the 55 mile per hour speed zone. At 55 miles per hour we need to go between steps 3 and 4 power roughly to try and maintain the speed. Step 3 power will allow us to maintain around 51.5, which is just slightly too slow. So what I'll do is I'll leave it in step 3 until we slow down to that, which we have now, and then move the power up to step 4 to accelerate back up towards 55, and then reduce the power again as we get to that. We're now passing through Lapford, and we'll see the platform in a second. The sign that you can see just ahead is a permanent distance signal board. This means that we need to travel with caution and treat the next signal as a red aspect. So I'm now idling the power, as the speed limit will soon be dropping to 15 miles per hour. Now going to brake at this Morpeth board here for the 15 speed limit. Initially on a step 1 brake application, I will increase the brakes if required as we get closer to the limit itself. Just before Eggesford, we do also have to stop at the token collection point once again, as we need to swap tokens there. So we need to look for the right stopping point, which is actually a stop sign, and stop there for around 20 seconds. So as you can see, I used a step 1 brake application all the way down there to the 15 speed limit, which will certainly give a nice gentle ride for the passengers. The signal is green, so we are cleared into the platform here. And now I need to prepare to stop at the stop sign coming up just ahead, which is on the second post you can see. So now we're going to wait about 15 to 20 seconds before I move off into the platform. The whole idea of the token system is that only one train driver can access a token at a time, and it's usually interlocked with the signals to prevent more than one train from occupying the same single track section heading towards each other. I now believe we can go, so I'm now going to pull into Eggesford platform. There's no clear stopping point here, so we're going to aim to stop by a yellow box on the platform, which could actually be a bin. I'm not 100% certain. So I'm now idling the power at just under 15 miles per hour. And you can now see the yellow box on the platform, which I'm aiming to stop next to. And this should be about the right place. Departing from Eggesford, the starting speed limit is 15 miles per hour, and we've got around 11 miles to go to the next stop, which is Umberleigh. Shut off power slightly too soon there, I'm not quite sure why. So I'm now accelerating up to 15, and then I'm going to idle the power. As you can see, the speed limit is now going up to 55 miles per hour. Unfortunately, there's no clear marker to tell me when the rear of the train has passed the board, so it's a little bit of a guess. But I believe that I should be able to accelerate around here. As we reach 55 miles per hour, we're once again going to be travelling or going between step 3 and 4 power to try and maintain speed. So I've now reduced to step 4 and now step 3 until we go down to around 51.5 when I'll reapply power again. I've just idled the power as we now have a Morpeth board warning for a drop in speed to 50 miles per hour. And this should allow us to coast down gently to the 50 mile per hour limit. I think you can just see the speed board coming up now. We're now approaching Kings Nympton station. The speed limit is now going back up to 55 miles per hour. Just past Portsmouth Arms Station. And just to give you a bit more information on this route, the Barnstaple to Exeter route is known as the Tarka line. Running for 39 miles through Devon. The usual traction on this route would be a class 143, 150 or 153 DMU. Beyond Barnstaple, the railway itself used to continue on to Ilfracombe, or Instow, and Bideford. The latter part of that route is now preserved as the Bideford and Instow Railway. I'd also like to remind my viewers and subscribers that you are able to request a video be made, a particular route or train covered, and I will certainly take that into consideration and see if I can get that made at some point. So if there are any particular routes or trains you would like to see covered, please do let me know in the comments and I will see what I can do. I would also like to remind you that you can find me on Facebook now under PTG Rail. If you like that page, you will get updates on what I'm up to and planned upcoming videos. And also, if you'd like to become a patron of this channel and help support me financially, then you're able to do so on the Patreon website, the link of which I will post in the description of this video. I'm looking to try and get patrons just to help me with the purchase of a new computer ultimately, to allow me to make better quality videos, and also the purchase of more DLC so that I'm able to make a wider range of videos on more variety of routes and trains. And I would also like to thank all of the current subscribers which I have. I'm surprised that I've managed to get to 650 subscribers so quickly. So yes, thank you to all of you for taking the time to subscribe and enjoy these videos. We now have another cross sign warning us of an upcoming crossing. This is half a mile from the next speed limit, which is 25 miles per hour, and I'm going to brake for that as we cross this next crossing just here. At the board you can see just coming up, that's the point at which we want to be doing 25 miles per hour. And now we've reached the board, we're doing 25. So the 25 mile per hour speed limit is once again for the crossing. The line speed is actually higher. And the line speed will shortly be 35 miles per hour. We're now entering the 35 mile per hour speed zone. However, I'm not going to accelerate as the station at Umberleigh is just coming up. So I'm going to allow the train to coast at 25. You can now see the platform on this left-hand curve. I'm now going to apply the brakes into step 1 to bring our speed off a bit. At this station we need to stop just past the platform building you can see just coming up on the left. Departing from Umberleigh, the starting speed limit is 35 miles per hour, and we've got around 6 3/4 miles to go to the final stop, which is Barnstaple. The speed limit is now going up to 60 miles per hour. So I'm just going to continue to accelerate up to that. And with this train, once you're at 60 miles per hour, if you set the power setting to step 4, it should maintain you at that speed. So it's actually a very easy speed to maintain in this train. Now gone down to step 4 of power, and we should be able to stay in this power setting pretty much all of the way to Barnstaple now. Now approaching Copplestone station. I was asked recently about the process of how I go about creating these videos, so just to give a brief overview, what I will do is I'll drive a particular journey with the HUD on, and I'll make notes of speed limits, gradients and braking points and stations, and then I will re-drive the journey without the HUD to make sure that all of the notes are okay, and by that time I've usually got most of it in memory, so I just drive along the route, driving from memory as much as possible, but with the notes in front of me to help remind me in case I forget what's coming up ahead. I also save at each station so that if I mess up the next section, I can always reload and go back and re-record that section again, rather than having to re-record the entire journey. However, the Railworks save feature is a bit buggy, and on some routes, particularly South London network and London to Brighton, if you reload a saved scenario, it then fails and you can't complete it. So it's not the first time I've messed up and had to restart the scenario and restart the recording all over again. One of the key things to look out for when trying to work out braking points, of course, is landmarks. So when you're driving along, if you'd like to try and learn a route for yourself, you need to look at distances and think, where would that landmark be in relation to where you need to stop? So if you look for bridges, it could be buildings, it could be trees or trackside signs, or even points. If you try and look for them and then mark down where they are and how far they are away from a certain stop, it will help you to know where you are along the route and know where to apply the brakes. Another thing that you sometimes have to do is count signals, which can be slightly annoying, but that can also help you to know where you are on a certain part of the journey. So if, for example, you know that there are 3 signals between 2 stations, then if you count the signals you should know how far you are away from the station at each signal. We've now got another fixed distance signal, which is 3/4 of a mile from the final speed limit, which is a reduction down to 20 miles per hour. I'm now going to idle the power at this overbridge and allow the train to continue to coast. And we will be braking for the 20 mile per hour speed limit at a small hut, which we will see on the right just coming up. And we'll be making a step 2 brake application at that point. You can see the hut now, so I'm now going to make a step 2 brake application, and that should bring off our speed about right for the 20 limits here at Barnstaple. And we're now at the 20 mile per hour speed board, and you can see the platforms here at Barnstaple just coming up. I'm now going to apply the brakes a little more to enter the platform at no faster than 15. So I want to stop just at the end of the roof here, so this is about the right stopping point. Thank you very much for watching, and I really hope that you've enjoyed the video.